Hey, hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this Python beginner tutorial series, let's discuss about Python list comprehension. In few of my earlier videos, I have used this term called list comprehension. So now let's look into this in detail. Okay. So looking into the definition, list comprehension generally offers a shorter syntax when you want to create a new list based on the value of an existing list. Say you have an existing list A. If you want to create a new list called B based on a certain based on certain condition, in those kind of situation you can go with list comprehension. Okay. And second bullet point is list comprehension are used for creating new list from other iterables like tuples, strings, and arrays. Okay, so you can also not only it is not only used to iterate over strings, it can be used to iterate over other iterable elements like tuples, strings, and arrays, and even through lists. Okay, so this is a basic definition of list comprehension. So below is the actual syntax of how list comprehension, how we can write a list comprehension. So there will be an expression and there will be a like iteration kind of thing like for item in list. Okay, do not worry, we'll see an example so that you will understand this syntax better. So in order to understand the list comprehension better, let's try to understand the difference between a traditional for loop so that you will have a clear understanding. So if, for example, say you want to iterate over a string and you want to append or create a new list. So in that situation, you can see how a traditional for loop work. Okay, so I have an empty list here and I have a for loop which iterate over through a string called python, and then I'm finally appending it to the existing list. Okay, so uh, let me copy this and run it in IDE for you so that you can see the output. So okay. And I'm printing the list. So now if I run this, I've got a new list called Python. Okay, so basically what I did is I iterated through a string and created a new string. Okay, so this is the output that uh, a traditional for loop will generate. Whereas if we try the same operation with the list comprehension, okay, see that's a two liner. Basically, without print statement, it is just a single liner. Okay, now I'm gonna print this list. And now I've created a new list with use of list comprehension. Basically, what it does is it produces same result only, but it uses a different syntax. Okay, in an efficient way. Now you can go to the syntax and actually verify or compare how the syntax is written. So we have expression. So here the expression is character for item in list, for character in string. Here it is string, but whereas if you want to use other iterables also, you can use it. Okay, so this is a very simple definition, simple syntax of list comprehension. So from the difference, what we can understand is both the for loop and list comprehensions actually produces the same result only. However, you can see by yourself, right? So list comprehension provides you an effective and simple way of writing the same logic in a single line of code. Okay, so what I showed you here in the for loop is it's a very basic example. So you just had only two lines of code, three lines of code, but whereas if you try to do a complex operation, there might be a situation where you want to write multiple lines of code. But if you start doing that in list comprehension, you can easily achieve it in single line of code. It is not only used for uh, writing less lines of code is not our only our motto, but uh, how effectively we write is something we are looking at, and how efficient and how fast is list comparison is something we are focusing on. So now let's look at a few of advantages. So what are so it is more time efficient. Since I have only few lines of code, it is more time efficient, and it is also time efficient. Sorry, it is also space efficient. So the time it actually takes to run the list comprehension is very less when we compare it to traditional for loop, and it is also space efficient. So you can also save a lot of space in your memory. Okay, and as you already know, like it requires only few lines of code. And finally, it transforms iterative statement into a formula. Okay, so uh, uh, earlier in this example, you looked it like a statement, right? But you can imagine it as a formula as well. So this is something list comprehension provides you in detail. So if one thing I would suggest you is, in case if there are any in real time, if you see any traditional for loop, and if there is a possibility to convert that into list comprehension, I would definitely suggest you to do so. Okay, so in order to make you understand, you know, much better, I have added another example, very simple example, so that you will have a, clear understanding of this concept. So you basically, we want to print even numbers up to n element. Okay, so I have written a simple piece of code here. Okay, um, what it will do is, so basically this is the list comprehension I have written here. So now compare it with the syntax we have actually written here. So expression for item in list. Okay, so here the expression is x. X is our expression for item in our list. So for item is x for item in our list. So here our iterable is up to range 20, right? So this is a simple expression, but I have given a certain condition also. So in list comprehension, you can also provide us conditions too. This is a different example from the earlier one. So this is the use and beauty of list comprehension. So what I'm doing is, basically I'm giving a condition called, if the modulo x modulo 2 is equal to 0, then obviously it is an even number, right? So I'm gonna run this. So yep, so using the list comprehension concept, I have just printed all the even numbers up to 20. So it ignored 20, so it included 0 because I have not defined the range. For example, if I define the range like 0 to 20, it will, okay, 1 to 20, it will take only items from 2. Okay, so the this is how we can use list comprehension to actually print the number of even numbers up to a certain range. Okay, similarly, as I said earlier, you can try to implement this concept anywhere in real time in your project. So if you have used a traditional for loop, see if there is a possibility to replace it with list comprehension, which is more time efficient and space efficient. And also you can write it in a it's very readable too, and you can write it in a fewer lines of code. Okay, so yeah, that's all what I want to cover as part of video, guys. So in case if you have any queries about this section, just please let me know in the comments. Thank you.